What are those things? Based on the knowledge that you should have. Areas in various communities where flooding occurs. Areas where whenever it rains or whatever, there is impact on communities. You should be a part of those discussions from the outset. Motor vehicle accidents on our roads. The roads belong to the municipal corporation. Disaster coordinators should develop working relationship with the Jamaica Fire Brigade so that you are involved. We have to move to a stage where the role of the disaster coordinators become more active during the year. 99.3% of our shelters are in schools. And over the last year, we have seen a difference in rainfall. We've seen more flooding, more communities that weren't affected by flooding. Now part of the ministry and his experience will significantly benefit us here in local government at this level. I want to address some concerns I have about the operations surrounding the disaster coordinators. Yesterday at the meeting with the CEOs, I raised some concerns about the effectiveness and the activeness of disaster coordinators. My assessment is that disaster coordinators will become active from June, or some don't get active until there's an event. I'm not sure if the coordinators are cognizant that their role as disaster coordinators is not just hurricane. There are a whole lot that disaster coordinators should be doing, and I'm sure that they're not doing it. One of the issues I raised yesterday with the CEOs is the participation in the framework of the mitigation process. What do I mean by mitigation? Whatever initiatives is undertaken by the municipal corporations, there has to be an input from the disaster coordinators. What are those inputs? Based on the knowledge that you should have. Areas in various communities where flooding occurs. Areas where whenever it rains or whatever, there is impact on communities. You should be a part of those discussions from the outset. Motor vehicle accidents on our roads. The roads belong to the municipal corporation. disaster coordinators should develop working relationship with the Jamaica family so that you are involved in daily operations. And I hope when you make your presentation, you're going to tell me that the requirements of the various committees, the committees that you should initiate, that those committees are up. Last year, during burial, not all of Jamaica was impacted. The areas that were mainly impacted were St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, parts of St. James, and I think one other parish. St. Thomas in some way, but not to the extent that Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth would have been affected. I visited those parishes along with other entities. And while I was pleased with the outcome around St. Elizabeth and Manchester, I wasn't comfortable with the outcome in Clarendon. I am not sure that our coordinators are working collectively with other agencies or other entities in the local world. I'm not sure what the relationship is with ODPEM. How often do you interact with ODPEM? What is the relationship with the Red Cross, the various stakeholders that we need to rely on to strengthen our response capabilities before and after a disaster? What are the reporting mechanisms? One CEO would have responded yesterday that they never get a report on disaster planning. So what it is saying is that only when there's a disaster committee meeting that issues are raised. No. We have to move to a stage where the role of the disaster coordinators become more active during the year and not part-time. Not part-time. And I hope to hear from you as to where are you in terms of your state of readiness. We are in the middle of your hurricane season. What is the position as it relates to items that are going to require if you have to respond? Condition of shelters. One of the things that is amazing, 99.3% of our shelters are in schools. I don't know if Mr. Watson get it and eat it. But I am yet to see coming out of any MCs a list of concerns raised about particular schools that are used as shelters and the difficulties that exist at these schools whenever they are to be used. Whether when the people go there, rain wet them up, condition is not conducive. I am yet to see anything that comes from an MC that speaks to these schools that we need, because these are recognized shelters. So the Ministry of Local Government will act them of a responsibility if these are shelters that must be used and there are deficiencies, that we work with the Ministry of Education to correct those deficiencies. I've not seen it. One of the complaints you get from persons when they go to the shelters is that, well, you go there, you went up some better, we stay home. So I am really concerned that the only thing that we get out of coordinators, and forgive me for saying so, is the run of the mill reports. There's no detail, there's no, that says, look, they're having a challenge here. We have a difficulty to get relief supplies here to go there. There is a vacuum of information. And over the last year, we have seen a difference in rainfall. We've seen more flooding, more communities that weren't affected by flooding is being affected now. Where are those concerns that you should have, that you ought to be raising in order for us to be able to respond to these challenges? Let me repeat it again. Problems are what's not with an heated. And I'm not prepared to go through another season, because in the last administration, the government undertook a review of our disaster response capabilities, looking at the ODPEM and looking at every aspect of the country's disaster response capabilities. Looking at the findings, but where is the concerns out of the municipal government? Every parish now in Jamaica is prone to flood. Look what happened here in St. James. What is it the disaster coordinator in St. James have documented as a part of the concerns that they have? So I don't want anybody to tell me, oh yes, we're talking about the drains and the gullies. That alone is not the contributing factor to flooding. We all agree that our infrastructure, and not here just in Jamaica, when you look at the great countries in the world whose infrastructure far out where ours, they are having the worst conditions that we are having. So while you are on the ground, You are the ones that needs outside of what takes place at the MCs. There has to be areas of concerns that disaster coordinators have that you need to share. Are you getting adequate support from the ODPEM? Can the ODPEM do better than they are doing? Is the engagement with ODPEM being done on a regular basis? Probably you tell me so what's not going on. So I'm going to stop talking now. We're going to move to the agenda item, which speaks about your state of readiness. I don't just want to hear about your state of readiness. I want to hear about the general situation surrounding your work as disaster coordinators. Okay?